Stampers, welcome to Fairless Stamp and Flair. I'm Pat Fairless, and today I have a video. We're going to make an Easter card. Easter's almost here, right? This weekend. And it's probably a little late to be showing you Easter cards. I should have showed you this a few weeks ago. But this is a super simple, easy, fun fold in the shape of a cross. Or it has a cross on it, I should say. So if you need a last minute Easter card, you still got a couple days left, and this would be easy to whip up a couple of these. So I just want to show you how to do it. I saw this online. It was a video that was probably at least a year old. Stamptastic Designs is the name, I believe, where I saw it. So I can't claim the idea, but it's a great idea. And it turned out to be pretty easy. So I just thought I'd share it today. So let me flip my camera down and we will get started. So this is the card we're going to make, or we're going to make a version of it. And it opens like this. So the cross is what opens. And I just thought that was so unique and interesting how that was done. And so I'm going to show you how to do it. Now I used, for my designer series paper, both for the cross and the background here, I used a scene from Beautiful Gallery. I'm going to use a different one today because I was down to I only had one sheet left. So actually I think I had 2 sheets left, but I used one on the envelope. So if you haven't seen Beautiful Gallery or checked it out, you probably have. It's in the annual catalog. I'm just going to quickly flip through some of these. There's a lot of beautiful scenes that we can do fun things with. Quite a variety of things that are in here. And on the back side, we have some very subtle types of things. Here's a street, but you can see that a lot of these, here's one that has another kind of a woodland graphic, I guess I would call it. But a lot of these are very subtle and simple, so they work great for cards as well. And the scene we're going to use today is this one. You can see it's a little bit different than the one I have here, but I think it'll work. I'm hoping it'll work. And this is the piece that I've used for the cross on both of these. And if you want to use wood grain, which I decided to do, just make sure when you cut your 2 pieces, have your wood grain, I would say, running lengthwise and across. Probably, you could do this one up and down. No need to really sweat it, but that's how I did it. So let me get that out of my way and move the card aside. Now I have done some of the cutting. The tutorial for this with all the dimensions will be on my website tomorrow when this card will be posted. Here's some beeping. I'm going to turn off my little space here. It's making kind of funny noise. I have most of these things cut today, but I did not score this because that's one of the things we need to learn how to do. So I wanted to show you how to score it. This is our standard 5.5 by 8.5. And grab my paper trimmer and make sure I get the top up here in the thing, in the frame. And this is an easy score. It is scored at 1 3/8. So an eighth, if you hate anything other than quarters, an eighth is the one between the 2 quarters, the longer line. So this is 3/8. Get my cutter out of the way, or score that. And then it's scored at 4 1/4, just like a standard card. Okay, and that is all the scoring there is. So like I said, it is super simple card. Now we're going to fold this in half, just like we would a normal card. I'm going to move it this way because that way I'm folding into the crease. You can't do both of them into the crease, so as long as we get one. Sorry. And we'll burnish this. And then this piece, so where we did the 1 3/8, just folds back on itself and give it a good burnish. And I kind of like to do, if I'm on fun folds in particular, I kind of like to do both sides. It just helps it lay a little bit flatter. And now the cross, the dimensions again are on there. I layered this double. You could put this directly onto the front of the card. That would be fine. I think that's how Stamptastic Designs did it, but I wanted to stiffen this up just a little bit more. So I am just going to layer this on another piece of basic beige. And you can use any kind of adhesive. And I'm somebody who needs to turn them on the side to get them kind of even. I don't know why. I know I've mentioned that before, but it just tends to work better. So both of these are getting adhered down to a basic beige background piece. You are going to want to mat the horizontal piece on the cross for sure, if you're using designer paper, because it would be a little flimsy, because remember, that's what we're holding on to when we open it. So we do want some stiffness to that. So now what I did, because this is wood grain, to just add a little texture, I embossed these. And I embossed them with the brick, not the brick, the birch wood 3D embossing folder. And the nice thing about this nice big folder is I can easily get both of these on here at once. And I can also kind of pick my place where I want them. I have lots of places to pick from. So I'm trying to get more of just the little narrower pieces, not the huge big piece. I didn't think it would show up too much. So that's why I'm just placing them kind of weirdly out here. And I should probably open this up because it'll move on me. And get my plates in place. This is a 3D embossing folder. So for a 3D embossing folder, we want plate number 1 and plate number 4. Okay. So now I can go ahead. It's easier kind of to do this when they're laying to get them to stay where you want them. So, and I kind of want to get my wood grain straight. Nobody probably know that but me. So we got them both in there, and we will just run this through. Now, because I have 2 layers, it might have a little extra cranking effort, but it's not bad. So let's take that out. It just adds a little texture to the wood. Wood is kind of a textural thing. So that's totally optional, obviously. If you're in a hurry, don't bother with that. Now this piece, this vertical piece of the cross, is going to get adhered to this flap, directly to this flap. And it is the exact same size as the flap. So I scored that at 1 3/8, and the card is 5.5. So this is 5.5 by 1 3/8, the mat on here. And then I like 16ths. I like 3/16 as opposed to a quarter. It's not quite as large of a gap. And those dimensions are on the tutorial, but you could use quarters if you don't like 16ths. And then we're going to put this going across. But before I do that, while I've got it here, it's probably easiest to just go ahead and adhere my designer series paper under here. Now, when you have a scene, like I have, try to cut your two pieces next to each other. When you have your, depending on your scene, I guess, just kind of look at it. Oh, it's crooked. Even I had it sideways, I still got it crooked. Let me see if I can straighten that out just a bit. There. That's better. Just pay a little bit of attention because this is going to go on the inside. So they don't have to be directly connected, but you wouldn't want a scene to like pick a scene that ends up here and then starts again down here. You kind of want it to look continuous. So just be aware of that as you're where you're cutting your designer series paper. So now I put this on here with dimensionals, and so I can only put the dimensionals under here. And to figure out where I need my dimensionals, lay across and just kind of slide it over. And if you slide it back under, you will be able to see exactly where you need to have your dimensionals. And I'm going to get that straight. I want them just below the top and just above the bottom, of course. Both sides. You don't want them picking out on top and below the thing. And
well, I'm not sure what happened, but we're going to try part 2 to continue on where we left off. All of a sudden, my camera that was showing my desktop just disappeared. So this is my 3rd time now trying to start it, but we're going to try to pick up where we left off. So let's go look at the other camera and try to make sure it stays on this time. So we got this far. We had our cross on here. I put 5 dimensionals behind here. You might have missed that just to give it a little bit more sturdy. And the next thing I want to do is just quickly finish up the inside because I need to put this white piece on before I can put my designer paper over it. The way I sized it, this overlaps that edge. So let's just go ahead and put this on. Say a little prayer that the camera stays connected. I ended up having to turn off my computer, turn off my phone, and restart everything. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to link the two back together, but I'm going to try one way or another. So this is an old stamp set called Glorious Gift. I think it was one of the very first ones I bought when I became a demonstrator, because I became a demonstrator in February, so we probably had a spring catalog or something, and it was an Easter set that was in there, and I absolutely love that particular greeting, and I use it every year. So it's an old wood-mounted set. You'd have to hunt in retired somewhere to find it, so don't fall in love with it. But it's the best one that I like, that I have. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this little sentiment piece here. And the Easter Blessings is also from a retired stamp set. That stamp set is called Itty Bitty Greetings. And this is a single stamp lengthwise. What I did to make this little oval, it doesn't fit and have any room for flowers. So I masked it. In fact, I'm trying to hurry because I'm afraid my camera's going to quit again, but we'll keep our fingers crossed, say a little prayer that it works. Because I did want to show you how I did that. If you've never done that, you have a sentiment maybe that's too long and you want to break it into 2 pieces. I did the blessings first. And I stamped my greetings with Mossy Meadow. I just picked up a color from the designer paper. So we're going to ink this. And hopefully it works. Now, I have a little ink here on the edge, so I'm just going to get an inky finger and wipe that off. Normally I would go get a... Now, the thing is, don't forget to take this off before you stamp that. And I'm gonna smoosh it to the right of my oval. Okay, and now I need to clean this really well. Because if I don't clean it, I'm gonna mask it, but when I unmask it, if it's not clean, it will stamp. So now I'm gonna mask everything except the Easter part. And I'm just using a piece of low-tack masking tape to mask that. You could use Scotch tape, whatever you like. And take that off and just stamp the Easter right above it. Now, if we had a photopolymer stamp, obviously, it would be a little bit easier. So we can use that. That one turned out okay. I actually like it a little bit better maybe than the other one. It's straighter. I'll be honest, it took me 3 tries to do that the last time. So I ended up by default with 3 of these frames. The stamp set I'm using for the ovals is called, I should have told you that, Scalloped Wishes. And I only use the dies. So I've used this die here for the background in Mossy Meadow. And I have pre-cut that. I use some of these little flowers here. And this is the little fancy scallop that I use. Now, when you die cut this one, it also cuts the center, as you can see. So I saved my center, and because it took me 3 tries, I ended up with 3 of these, and I thought, well, I don't want to just throw them away. So what I did was I adhered them together, kind of as an afterthought. It was not planned because I kept forgetting to pull off the masking tape. When I had my sentiment, one of them got crooked. The next one I forgot to, so I had to die cut another one. The next one I forgot to remove my masking tape, so I had a big old blob. So I had to do a 3rd one. So I'm like, well, what the heck? We'll just make use. I could have saved them for another piece that didn't need the center. But I ended up putting them all together, and I liked how that turned out because it raises this up and it just gives it a little bit of dimension on there. So I really liked that. And I kept this just 1 layer. So it doesn't matter which one we put down first. I could do either. I will just get that in place. I have sticky fingers. Make sure it's kind of centered. It might be easier to do the other one first. I think I did the other one first. This one the last time, and then I put the one in the middle. So far, I'm still seeing my camera on screen, so I hope you're seeing it too. And I just placed that right around there. And that just gave me a little bit of raised border. Now, this needs some decoration, and I also wanted to put some ribbon behind it, and I didn't have any Highland Heather, which is the color that I'm using. I didn't have any pieces. I think I said I needed about 8 or 9 inches, so we're just going to cut a piece here. And what I did, I colored it with my Stampin' Blend, and I used Highland Heather, and I used the lightest one. So I just took this, use your brush end and use the side of it, and just color it. And I didn't even worry too much about getting it, all of it really covered, because I wanted that gold sparkle to show through. And then do the other side, because we're going to end up the way I put it on here, we end up seeing both sides, so just color both sides. And again, use the edge of your brush, don't use the point. It'll kind of roughen up your point, and you really don't want to do that. And then I frayed the edges, the ends, and sometimes this frays nicely, sometimes like now, it's going to get stuck. So if that happens, grab your take a pick tool, and I have to bring this up a little bit so I can see it. Sometimes we just need to cut these, snip that loose stuff off, and then it'll start again. It's a little bit, some ribbon frays really nice, some not so nice. But the take a pick tool does help. And sometimes you just have to cut it out if it's not cooperating and just fraying. It also tends to work better from one side of the ribbon than the other sometimes. It must be how they weave the ribbon. It's the only thing I can figure out. So I'm going to set this down. I don't need much more. Just want to get that one little piece right up there. Got a little thread of gold. It's not want to come. Okay. And I still got a little bit more over here that needs to be snipped out. There we go. Sometimes the scissors works better than the take your pick because I think it actually cuts the little fibers. All right. Now it wants to ravel more. I'm trying to get rid of the fuzzies. There we go. So I just took this and I kind of wrapped it like this on this side. And I took this. I got glue on my fingers. I took this and I just laid this here on the cross. And rather than try to glue it down with like a glue dot or something, my fingers are sticking to it. I need to get my hand sanitizer out and put this on here and see if you've got it as much on top as you want. And cross it, just cross it. That's pretty good. And I just took a piece of Scotch tape. All gonna get covered up with my scallop anyway. Pull it where you want it, and that will hold. So I'm gonna put this on here with dimensionals. We'll add the flowers once I get it. Well, we can add the flowers now. So I used some scraps of some glimmer paper I had, and these little leaves. This one's Highland Heather, this one is Upheaval Pink, and this was a piece of another scrap of some specialty paper I had that's called, I think, Thoughtful Designs. It's got, I don't know if you can see it, it's got a little bit of silver in it in there. It just added a little bit of glitz, and I like glitz. So we're just going to adhere this now to the scallop. My gluey fingers are probably going to pick it right up. And did I put these on? I put these on with dimensionals. So we need a little dimensional. I think I'm just going to use a small one. Okay, I have to get my hand sanitizer because my hands are all gluey. I can't pick up things. We're almost done, guys. Okay. That's better. Now we can just, I just stuck these right over the leaf. Oh, that dimensional did not stick well. So push it down a little bit harder. If you want on these flowers, you can take your fingers and just kind of just curl the ends a little bit. Just gives it a little bit of more realistic life. Like, look. Where do I want it? I think I want it a little bit over there. And then I took a couple of little pearls and stuck those on here. So I could have done this before. Now I am using some old pearls that I have, trying to get these used up. Who remembers when they came in strips like this? These are Stampin' Up, but they came in strips for a while, which was kind of fun because you could put a strip of pearls on your card. Oh. And let's get one more. Lost it. Okay. Oh, there's where that pearl went. So when I lay this on here, I'm going to keep dimensionals away from the center so it's not over the ribbon. It's just out here. So I'm just going to put dimensionals out on the end. Oh, here's my dimensionals. I got to mess this up here. And then our card is done. I have two more I want to show you. So there we go. There is a second cross card. Which design do you like best? Do you have a favorite? I don't know, this is kind of pretty with this color sky, but I like this down here too. So there's those two cards. And I have two more I want to show you that I used. The hardest part about this card was figuring out what designer series paper I wanted to use. I saw the Aurora Lights designer series paper, which is retired just recently. I believe it is gone on the last chance list now, but these are from Aurora Lights. And here I decorated it with some flowers. This is a Highland Heather color that is on the back of this one. And this one has the pretty northern lights, really. So there are 4 Easter cards that I finished. I'd love to know which one you like best. And I'm going to flip my camera back and we are going to try to wrap this up. All right, I'm going to have to try to figure out how to merge these 2 videos. I hope I can do that. So have a very, very happy Easter. God bless you. And we will see you next week with something else.